Hi, my name is Josh Cooley. I am the director of Toy Story 4.
And I am Mark Nielsen, producer on Toy Story 4.
Hi, Mark.
Hey there, Josh. Would you like to go see a film? I hear Toy Story 4 is in theater.
I hope we can get tickets. So the first question we always got working on this film is, why Toy Story 4?
Why are you doing this?
Don't ruin my childhood by making another one. What are you doing? The answer to the question is because we had more story to tell with Woody. The thing that we always thought about was like, well, Toy Story 3 is a great ending, but it's the ending of Woody's time with Andy, but it's not the end of Woody's story. And so now we have more Woody story.
All these films are hard. None of them are easy to tell, and they're always a little bumpy at the beginning, but we build them up and tear them down and keep reworking them until we kind of find our way. Telling this story, it was so important to us, the crew and the filmmakers, that we get this right. These films are so important to our studio. In talking to people, we know they're important to the world. People have personal connections to these characters throughout their childhood. It has this 25-year history. And so all of us on the crew cared about nothing more than making this worthy of being a Toy Story film.
And this scene here is all about establishing Bo Peep as a character and her relationship with Woody.
Yeah, and Bo didn't have a lot of screen time in the earlier films. We didn't even see her at all in 3. So we knew it was important to set up who she is, what she looks like, where she's been, and most importantly, the relationship she has with Woody. And this kind of gets to show their promise working together as a team.
Yeah, we thought of Bo as being the Woody of Molly's room. So she's the leader of all these other toys. There's a whole other world in this other bedroom that we never even showed before. We knew we needed to get rid of Bo, not get rid of, have Bo taken in this scene to get the movie going. And so this is just a great way to get back into the Toy Story universe and kind of remind the audience about the tone of it and just the history between Woody and Bo.
Yeah, the effects department worked really close with the lighting department on the look of this rain. They wanted to exaggerate the shape of the drops and to really kind of feel the scale of this rain for a toy.
Yeah, that's one of the big things about Toy Story is just making sure that it doesn't feel like a tiny people movie. It's more of a Toy Story film so that the toys have obstacles and problems that they deal with that's kind of easy for us, but these toys, it's life or death out there in the rainstorm. And what was it? Most of the effects budget is in this scene?
Yeah, more than half the budget for the effects department was in this very first scene with this kind of massive storm going on. That license plate that was on the car that just pulled in is actually a command that someone typed into their computer on Toy Story 2, which deleted the entire film.
There it is right there.
They had to go to a backup, which somebody had at their house, in order to restore the film and get back to work.
So this scene under the car was really important. It was a huge moment in Woody's life, and the acting here was so important to get right. Because of our process in animation, we don't even really look at the shots strung together. We tend to look at them kind of one at a time, and usually not even in order, because some animators are faster than others or for other technical reasons. It was so important to get all this acting right as a whole, so we would review this entire scene just as one being run. And that was because you just had to make sure that every single moment, every single blink, every single inhale was for a reason, and that it was all reading kind of across from one shot to the next.
And that box gets taken away.
Yeah, so in this scene, we got Tom Hanks, who plays Woody, and Annie Potts, who plays Bo Peep, together, and we actually recorded them in a recording studio at the same time, facing each other and delivering these lines. That's not typically the way we work. It's usually one actor at a time. Some actors don't even meet each other over the course of the film, but in this case, the chemistry between Woody and Bo was so important that we thought that, having them experience those conversations and that kind of breakup in the room together and work through it would be more effective.
Yeah, it's really hard with all these actors with their schedules and everything, and our process being like molasses for them all to get together on the same page. But from day one, we knew that this was important, that we'd had to get them together in the same room, reacting off of each other. It helps the performance. It also helps the animators see how the actors are bouncing off one another. I love this shot here, going from emotion to instantly inanimate object.
It was really special, too, to bring Laurie Metcalf back and record her for this. She had kind of assumed that she wouldn't necessarily be part of this film and was pleasantly surprised to be a part of it, and was an absolute pleasure recording as Andy's mom.
She's going off and doing all these amazing movies, Lady Bird and everything, and then says, well, what am I doing here? And like, we need you to go, hey, Andy. I felt so bad.
You've got a friend in me.
We wanted that nostalgic feeling of going back to the original Toy Story films, and just to get everybody into Woody's headspace here, just so we can see not only the time passing, but how he's going to feel once he's handed over to Bonnie and moving on from there. And the only way you can do that is with Randy Newman's song.
Yeah, you've got a friend in me.
Once we put You've Got a Friend in Me up against the visuals, it brought you right back. Same here with this wipe. That's the same way that we wipe on the title of Toy Story in the first film.
And as the years go by, a friendship will never...
This was a pretty challenging scene from a technical perspective, just because we're trying to almost treat it like it's one continuous shot. We worked really closely with the camera department on just trying to find just the right transitions to go from shot to shot, again, to make it feel really fluid as we move our way kind of through Woody's time with Andy.
This shot, the detail in this movie is insane. Just look, all the little minuscule scratches and everything. It's just, I still don't understand how they do it. This was a fun scene, just trying to find all those toy truths that happen in real life. I remember when my mom would clean my room quickly, everything just gets tossed in the closet. Same thing for my daughter. It's like, get everything thrown in there quickly. But what is that like with the toys?
It's kind of a fun reminder of kind of the dynamic and the fact that Andy's toys are now merged with Bonnie's toys, and the power dynamic shift that's happened in the room, which was Woody for so many years and is now, they're on Bonnie's turf now, and Dolly is really kind of the leader of these toys.
We knew right out the gate we needed to establish that power balance right away, and just to see that he's not jealous because he's already done that in the first film, but this is all new to him, so it's going to be different. This idea just came from the truth, which is my daughter has a Jessie doll and she loves it. She also has a Woody doll. She doesn't play with it as much. We're just thinking, well, that would happen.
Yeah, kids play with their toys differently, and it just illustrates that the situation for Woody is so much different than what he's used to.
This scene here, we got to work with some of the greats here. Mel Brooks, Carl Reiner, Betty White, and Carol Burnett as the preschool toys. And the clock is an actor named Alan Oppenheimer, who voiced most of my childhood.
You don't have to. I'll do it for you.
Skeletor, Falcor from Neverending Story, Rockbiter, the Gamorrean. He's done so many voices.
Oh, how adorable!
It was such a privilege to work with these actors that are just, made such a massive impression on us when we were younger, and to be able to have that chance to record them and have their voices be part of this film was really special for us.
In fact, we got to go to Carl Reiner's house and record him and Mel Brooks in his living room. We just were sitting there on his couches, just reading lines together.
About this, we're going to meet your teachers, see your class.
Can I bring a toy?
One real highlight for us was working with the original cast of characters from the earlier films, both the ones from Andy's room and from Bonnie's room. And it's been pretty special for us to see what this new group of animators does with these characters that we're all familiar with.
It was important to show that Woody is in this new location, this new situation, but that it's not sitting quite right, and that even though he's okay with it and he loves Bonnie, he wants to be there for her, that he can't really let go of the past. He keeps talking about Andy and keeps bringing Andy up and his history with Andy and his experience with Andy. This is going to be a tough transition for him.
One of the other important things about this scene, and because sometimes what's playing out in the scene serves multiple purposes, is that we're setting up that Bonnie is going to be okay playing with Jesse. She's got her sheriff, and she will be okay without Woody. And we're going to see how that kind of plays out at the end of the film.
This was important. The way we staged this was so that only Woody is the one that can see that Bonnie is having a tough time here. He's the only toy that can see it. Bonnie's parents didn't really get a good, clear look, but he did.
Hurry, okay?
I love just how parental these toys are with their kids. It's great that Dolly knows Bonnie so well that she's going to forget something. She's going to come back. She's just ready and prepares everybody for what she knows is eventually going to happen.
I think this classroom scene was the first scene that went into production. Is that right?
Yeah,
it was.
I think it was.
And it was much longer, too. We had a couple shots after they go up through the front door that was kind of going down the hallway, and just the empty hallway and her walking down and just being really scared and intimidated. Ended up, we didn't need it. Yeah. So we just went right to the classroom.
It was a very long walk. We're like, you know what? Let's get her there.
Maybe people don't want to watch a child just walking
down a hallway.
You want to see?
The crowds team just did such a great job in here. We really wanted to make it a diverse space to look like a kindergarten classroom around where we live. And so they put a lot of detail and a lot of attention into the way that they cast the kids in this just to make sure it felt like it represented the world.
This scene was all about calling back to a lot of our childhood fears of being kind of left out and being in a new place and not knowing exactly how to feel or not knowing anybody. And then also seeing it from the parents' point of view. So I remember dropping my kids off at kindergarten and just kind of looking in through the window and not wanting to leave. And so this is kind of Woody's version of that. That's literally why we put a window in the backpack, is so it could feel like he's looking through the window at his kid. That apple kid. Rewind the movie and watch that apple kid. He actually steals the apple from a cubby, and the girl tries to get it back, and he says no.
What a troublemaker.
Later on, you'll see when Bonnie leaves the classroom, he runs out of the classroom and runs right past his dad. His dad's like, where are you going? That apple kid.
We all knew an apple kid.
Yep.
Fun fact, you just saw Woody hiding behind Bonnie's Battlesaur's lunchbox. That is a tribute to the TV special Toy Story That Time Forgot. And if you want to travel deeper into the land of fun facts, the carpet in this classroom is the same carpet that is in my office and everybody's office here at Pixar.
You can see right here as Bonnie picks up the spork, the lighting actually changes on her face. She brightens up right there. And that's all on purpose to make it feel like the creation of Forky is a really powerful moment for her. To really keep the stakes going for this character so that when Woody has to leave and go after him, it really means something. And also, Woody is actually responsible for the creation of Forky. He's the one that put all that stuff up there for her. He really becomes a parent to Forky as well. That's not Boo in the background. So this is the first time you're going to see a dad in the Toy Story universe right there. Bonnie's dad. Actually, he was in Toy Story 3.
I think he's like raking leaves in the background in the yard.
You can see him from behind in one shot.
That's about it, though.
Yeah.
Nice for you.
And this is a classic Toy Story backpack shot. There's a lot of great camera work in this film, but this right here is so iconically Toy Story. Staging a big reveal like this inside a tiny backpack.
Yeah. This is the first time we ever see a toy come to life. We always thought this would be a really fun idea. It just came out of the truth of how kids play with things. Our kids play with the box that the toy came in more than the toy sometimes. And it started off kind of as a gag, but you'll see later on, it really becomes a chance for Woody to explain what it means to be a toy. And he really has to dig deeper into himself because of this character.
You could have been.
We were sitting around the story room going, well, what if Bonnie played with a rock? Would that rock come to life? And the answer is, who knows? It could be because Bonnie writes her name on his feet. That could be the thing. I don't think we should explain it. That's a little too midichlorian for me.
I think Forky's last line in the movie is actually, I don't know.
Exactly. And that's the answer. I don't know.
Arms are.
And what Trixie says right there is a way for us to not answer the question. If her just going, I have a question, I've got all of them. And so we just kind of,
We all do.
don't worry about it.
And Forky is voiced by Tony Hale, who you may know from Veep or Arrested Development. Tony really grabbed on to this character and made it his own. When we were kind of first pitched the movie to him, the anxiety that this character was going to have and how he was literally asking the question, why am I alive? Tony's like, I've got that. I can grab onto that. That's something I can do
that.
Something with.
He was also our first choice right out the gate. I've always loved him in everything, and I just knew he can bring that innocence and warmth and comedy to the character.
Cannot picture Forky as anybody else.
Stop it.
People often ask, why isn't his name Sporky? We were trying to name this character, and we had a bunch of different names, and I showed an image of the character to my son, who was about 4 at the time, I think. And I said, what do you think the name of this guy is? And he went, Forkface. And we were like, well, that's a great name. We can't use that
we're
for
gonna
other
do that.
reasons. But Forky kind of grew out of that, and it was funny, and the fact that my son didn't know what a spork was.
Yeah, kids
Felt
come up
very
with
real.
names for things that are beyond anything you would have expected. So why not?
The one thing that became kind of a pain after a while, though, is the E sound at the end of every single name in this movie. There was Woody, Jesse, Ducky, Bunny, Trixie, Andy, Molly, Bonnie,
Forky.
Forky, Andy's mom. No, it's just, you start to stumble over it as you're pitching the film just because everybody's name ended with an E, which is why at the very end of this film, if you fast forward, we have the knife show up, and her name is Karen Beverly.
Yeah, we actually had a conversation about that in the story room one day. I think you said, I think we should just name her something normal like Karen. And I was like, that's my sister's name. Do you think that's funny?
And I said, yeah, it's
I
hilarious.
said, my other sister's name is Beverly.
And so I said, there we go, Karen Beverly. And now I just realized that's an E name.
It is.
Oh, man.
Karen's not, though, so you're good
Karen.
there.
That name it's just a good name.
Got it.
Every year when I was in school, my parents would take us on a road trip. Not in an RV, it was usually a Volkswagen camper. A lot of the tone of the travel feels very similar to the vacations we used to go on. Mark, you go on a lot of RV.
Yeah, we love trailering around. It's a great way to explore. We knew the idea of taking these toys kind of outside the Tri-County area on this RV trip adventure was going to be kind of something bigger that we hadn't seen before in a Toy Story film.
Yeah, we wanted to expand the world and just make it feel like we're going out into the world where more toys exist out there.
Montage scenes like this ones are really complicated because everything in the film has to be, built and shaded. And so you're visiting all these different locations, almost a different location every few shots.
You're spending time and money on these locations that you're only going to see sometimes one shot.
The sets team really has to build out every single thing you're seeing. Every garbage can that Forky tries to jump in has to be kind of handcrafted by the sets team and dressed in place. So these montages are kind of a behemoth to deal with.
People tend to forget these are 3D models. These are not real objects in the world. These are all in the computer. Our artists are so good. They paint these textures that look like floor, that look like the wall, and it just looks so convincing and so real in the movies. But every single thing in the movie has to be done. Everything. Nothing in here is real. And our team is just so great at it that even I tend to forget at times that this is not really happening.
Yes. So this is one of those scenes where, we were capturing Woody and Buzz in this sort of dark space, kind of having this intimate conversation. And a lot of the time in the film, we do show Woody being kind of in the dark before he meets Bo Peep. And I just want to give a shout out to JC Kalash, who is our director of photography, of really finding a right balance of capturing the light and the darkness on their faces in this important scene that had to read, even though the environment has to contribute to them being kind of hidden so that nobody can see them. We're always kind of pushing that line of how much you can get away with the toys talking when humans are around. They're in pretty close proximity, especially here in this RV. And so we always had to kind of dial up and down the volume to make sure that it seemed the humans would not notice whatever the activity was going on while the scene was playing out with the toys.
Yeah, that's why you don't see the parents in the shots at all. We purposefully shot it this way so you don't see the backs of their heads. Also, you record these voices, you got to kind of remember all that when you're with the actors, and that's why they have to.
Hold on.
So this is kind of a callback to all the Toy Story films where people are going out the window constantly.
There's a lot of going out the window in this movie.
In fact, we even call it out. I think Dolly complains about it. What's with you guys going out the window? Had another joke that didn't make it. The idea was at the beginning of the movie, we kind of implied he was lonely because Bo Peep wasn't around. And some of the toys kind of went like, oh, I think Woody's lonely. And now they're in Bonnie's room. Mr. Potato Head would say something like, what's he lonely about? There's like 400 toys in here. Just kind of calling back to the truth of these movies is a lot of fun. And Forky's a way to do that. He's never seen Toy Story 1, 2, or 3, so he can break the rules. This might be one of my favorite scenes of the movie, if not the favorite scene. First of all, this is our chance to do extremely long shots for animation. Originally, I wanted to make this entire scene one shot. I wanted it to be a long shot just so it felt like they're on the road for a long time. It's supposed to be out there all night long talking. And so just not cutting helps it have that feel of this is just continuing and continuing. But it is difficult to do long shots like this in animation just because our process is so slow. So we had one animator do this entire shot. I want to say it took months to do.
Yeah, I think it took months. It's sort of a blessing and a curse to get a shot like this as an animator because you really do get to just dive really deep into the characters and the nuance of the animation. But it's a commitment to a whole lot of calendar time where you're really focusing on just this one very specific part of the film.
Yeah, they kind of go crazy after a while, the animator.
Now it's to make sure.
Wasn't this also one of the first scenes where we animated Forky? I feel like there was a lot of discovery going into the animation of Forky that kind of really honed in this scene.
Yeah, it was important that he didn't feel like any of the other toys. So, in fact, we had some test animation where the animators did some beautiful animation on him right out the gate, but it felt too clean and too good. So, actually, we gave it a note a couple times. Make it worse. Stop doing such a good job. Don't have him blink. His spork doesn't actually twist. It only twists down at the gum down below. We had a lot of fun just restricting ourselves so that it had this handmade quality to it and didn't feel like it was a fully alive character. It's almost an object more than a character at times. That speech that Woody gives right there when he's carrying Forky, it's so beautiful. I remember when Andrew first wrote it, that I was reading it and going like, I have young kids, but I don't have kids that are out of college. I don't know what that's like. But only somebody who had kids that are out of college could write this and have this kind of emotion. And Andrew does, and I think it's just so touching.
Andrew Stanton played a couple of roles on this film. You know, he was one of our writers from the very beginning, coming in with the first draft, but he also served as an executive producer on the show. So he was just a great creative partner for Josh and Jonas and I on this film all the way through. Andrew has been part of the Toy Story films going all the way back to the beginning. So he's such an incredible resource for us.
And it was great to go back and talk to him about the very first Toy Story and kind of like the rules that they established there, and kind of just making sure that we didn't move away from any of those rules, make sure that we were still rooted in the original Toy Story.
This town of Grand Basin is inspired in part by mountain towns that you would visit when you're, say, on your way to like a national park. We felt that it was believable that you would find a carnival, an antique store, and an RV park in kind of one of these small towns.
The light on the ground here became a symbol for Bo's presence, and you'll see it even reflected in the carnival at the very end of the movie. There's just this kind of dappled light everywhere. Even in the playground that's coming up, when he meets her, they're in this kind of dappled light situation. It was always a way to represent her. And early on, we had this idea of this almost like the nightlight feature is these lights moving around, but the lamp didn't move at all. And it didn't make any sense.
Yeah, about halfway through production, the decision was made, let's see if we can get this lamp to rotate, which will make more sense out of the moving lights that are going to draw Woody's attention.
It actually doesn't make any sense at all why those dappled lights are being projected onto the ground. It doesn't. There's nothing that shows that that should be happening, but you just kind of buy it. I like pointing out how our movie doesn't work.
If you really break it down, none of this makes any sense. The antique store was just such a rich environment to explore. Like, what would that be like for a toy? And we went down a few roads on that while we were developing the story. I think there was a time where it was kind of a bustling city.
Yeah, like an old toy city.
Yeah, and I know we did a lot of research trips to antique stores, and we realized that there aren't tons of toys in antique stores. And, you know, it's not a toy store.
Right.
There's a lot of hope for a toy in a toy store. But here, less so, right? These are toys that have a history.
This is purgatory for a toy. Literally sitting among old history that's just not moving. We would go to antique stores over the years of working on this film and see the same stuff sitting in the same places. There was just things that were always in antique stores that when we went for research. There was always creepy dolls.
Yeah.
There's always ventriloquist dummies, at least 2.
Without fail.
And so we're like, well, let's take advantage of that. Also just dust and cobwebs and the feeling that nothing has moved. I think early on, the way I was pitching this to the technical team was like, I wanted to be able to smell the store just by looking at it.
Just out for my early morning stroll. And look.
I'm so happy we found Christina Hendricks and that she agreed to do the role of Gabby Gabby. I remember the first thing we recorded was her pull string lines, was those really adorable, exactly what a 1950s toy would sound like. And then the next couple lines were like the most terrifying thing I've ever heard in my life.
She just had such a sweet and inviting voice. But at the same time, she's able to kind of ride that line and can make that turn chilly.
We knew that we would need to have somebody that could go from inviting and lovable to kind of cold and heartless. But at the same time, knowing that we needed to turn her eventually as well to show that she's not that different from Woody at all. Just wants the same exact thing. But Woody has had a privileged life and she hasn't. So the song that's playing here is called Midnight, the Stars and You. Lee Unkrich cut it in as kind of a joke, and I love that song because it's from The Shining. Lee loves that movie as well.
Yeah, Lee directed Toy Story 3. He was one of the executive producers on this show, and he's also the world's leading expert on The Shining.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen the film, it is not for kids.
Well, I try to stay active.
Animators had fun working with Gabby's eyes so that they had that little wiggle in it. So the kind of doll that you place down and her eyes close and she goes to sleep. It just adds another little freakiness to it.
Wow, you need to fix that.
Porky's always great at just calling out the truth in the moment.
That's broken. Does yours still
The voice box thing was tough. This was such a specific thing that we've never seen in any of the other movies. We always hear it. We always see the pull string. It's always part of Woody, but it's a very kind of nerdy toy thing to know exactly how a voice box works. And so it was a tough thing to go, are people actually going to understand this?
Yeah, for people to believe that her voice box could be fixed by Woody's voice box, we had to simplify that in a way where it wasn't too much of a leap for people to try to think through how that might work.
Mm-hmm. You may notice there's a huge time jump here. You go from 4 a.m. to now it's 8 o'clock in the morning. But we think that maybe they were searching.
I don't think people would have noticed that unless you called it out, Josh.
Well, movie magic.
Harmony. Stop him, please.
So this yellow typewriter there on the side.
Pause it right now. And that is the Hanks typewriter. It's a nod to Mr. Tom Hanks. He has a huge typewriter collection and loves typing on paper.
This antique store literally has 10,000 plus individually modeled and shaded objects in it that were set dressed in such a smart way to look like a store owner had kind of put them all in the proper place. Huge credit to the sets and the art department for working out how to dress this mall and pull this off.
There are so many Easter eggs in this film. They gave us a 10-page document of all the things that are hidden in this movie in the antique store.
Almost every shot in the antique store has something in the background from a previous Pixar film.
This was just the goal to destroy the Pixar theory. This book that Mom is reading right there, you can't see the cover, but it says Beyond Infinity, Debunking the Crazy Theory of a Shared Universe or something like that.
The spoon is safer.
There are a lot of us on this crew that love RVing and camping in general. We had a lot of fun renting an RV at a local place and bringing it onto the Pixar property and bringing the art department out there and just really breaking down every surface on that thing. Took a lot of photos. I think a couple people even stayed in it overnight.
On the campus.
On the campus at Pixar, yeah, because we had it for a few days.
Let's go look outside. Maybe
I did a lot of camping like in KOAs across America growing up with my family, so there's a lot of nods to that too, especially Dad having a hard time. My dad would always want to go on these trips and have a lot of fun, and it always became a real pain for him eventually. Something would happen that would just throw off the entire vacation. So
the sound team also took an RV out and recorded it for a couple of days.
That's right. They drove it around and revved the engine with all sorts of stuff.
Fired it up.
Just to get as many different noises and tones, and just the sound of driving in an RV is something you have to record.
A lot of RV love and care went into this.
And this is just to see Buzz be awesome.
It's a pretty bold move to try to cross a carnival in the middle of the day. But if anybody can pull that off, it's Buzz Lightyear.
Well, actually, it turns out nobody can pull it off.
That's true.
Buzz.
Buzz doesn't work out so well.
Oh, man, this theme right here, Randy wrote in, it's a callback to the Toy Story 2 opening where Buzz is being amazing. Randy did an amazing job of calling back to themes just enough, but it feels familiar, but we're not relying on it completely to carry the whole scene. It's just a little bit of a flavor.
We got the chance to have Buzz fly.
Here's Bill Hader as a carny. There's a Pizza Planet truck on the back of his leg.
Rod.
And that was an idea we had for a long time, just getting Buzz stuck in that game somehow, just because it's the worst place for a toy to be. You will never be won. Everybody knows those games are impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's a toy truth that we've never seen in any of these films.
Those tall carnival rides really kind of helped us have a visual point to target Woody toward. We needed to make it clear that he's trying to get back to the antique store, but not being able to see the antique store, that was challenging. So we had to set that Ferris wheel up in a place where he's clearly going toward it. And then we had to set it up earlier so we knew kind of where it was in geography with where the store is.
Did you see him? How many are there?
Whoa!
We got a busload of campers.
So great. We got Combat Carl in there. Carl Weathers as Combat Carl. He was so much fun to work with.
Our effects team did the sand, which looks so great.
This playground kept redesigning it over and over and over again because we weren't quite sure what the scene was going to do yet. And so we had all these different versions of it. And basically, it's kind of like a huge Lego set, right? Where they can move things around.
Yes. The sets team did a lot of moving things around, but man, we love where it ended up.
Oh, yeah. So this was a big moment. This scene we worked on a lot. This idea is something you can only do in a Toy Story movie where these characters know each other, would love to talk to each other, but they just can't. They are completely still. And so we always thought of this like our toy version of Casablanca, where it's out of all the sandboxes and all the playgrounds and all the world, he comes running into mine.
Wait, you're
Working with Annie Potts was just such a joy. She's so funny and so warm and just has so much heart. And I feel like her performance comes right out of her and through the screen. It is Annie. It's her on screen.
She is incredible.
I love that taco sticker. Somebody in art put it on there. I love tacos, so it makes no sense, but I love it.
I don't think we ever knew the sheep had names until Toy Story 4.
Yeah, Woody didn't know either.
Yeah. We had to give the sheep a little bit of an upgrade from the earlier films. It's been almost 20 years since they've been in Toy Story movies, so we kind of brought them up to code in this film and gave them a little more charm and a little more personality.
There's an Up reference right there.
Yo, come on out. There's someone I want you to meet. Be right down.
Giggle McDimples, played by the amazing Ali Maki. She's so funny, and she is Giggle McDimples. The second she came into the room for our first recording session, she just lit up the room. It was like a receipt that we made the right choice immediately.
And she has a fantastic laugh, which you need for a Giggle McDimples.
One of the things I missed that we didn't get in there was she used to have a partner named Officer Rib Tickles.
Yeah.
And he was a little dog. Was her partner, but he was not in the movie because he had been swallowed by the store cat years ago. And Giggle didn't want to go into the antique store because of that trauma that happened. And she used to have this little like noir film moment where she'd say, "Oh, Officer Rib Tickles was the best darn cop Pet Patrol's ever had. He was eaten right before retirement."
It's very upsetting.
Way to beat the odds, soldier. Meet you at the playground, Pete. Combat Carl's got a piñata party to crash.
Oh, this poor Carl.
Stay tuned to the very end. He'll get his high five. Don't worry.
There is a payoff.
Carl Weathers, this is the first time I got to work with him. I don't think I've ever been more intimidated in my life. He's the nicest guy in the world, but he's Apollo Creed.
Yeah. And the handshake.
The handshake.
Solid.
My hand still hurts. The Skunkmobile. This was always a weird idea to pitch to the talent. You know, like how Lost Toys build a skunk at a remote control car? You know how that works.
just like Molly needed you.
But we wanted to show how clever Bo is out here. She's been living a whole life out here without a kid, and just to see that she's been able to adapt. And that's something that she needed to teach Woody, and also Woody's been afraid of that since the first Toy Story film. So it was really cool to see their two worldviews colliding here. I love that sticky hand. That's always something I wanted to get in there for quite a while. The one that she was just pulling on, she uses a little bit later. I had those growing up. My kids have them now. Everything that I used to do is trying to hit my brother in the eye. My kids are doing it now with theirs, and such a nod to all childhoods.
Bo, my
She even needed to teach the sheep how to drive, apparently. They're not that great at, we find out later, but they give it a good shot. You see that it says the store was established in 1986. That is a reference back to Pixar, also being established back in 1986.
Also, the address of the antique store is 1200, which is the address of Pixar
Animation Studios right here in Emeryville.
Hey!
Benson, are we finished?
Oh, that feels great.
Look at that. Good as new.
Yeah, thank you.
So that dummy with the red bow tie is named Benson, and he is named after our first head of story, Eric Benson. Now, our current head of story, Valerie Lapointe, does not have any dummies named after her. But what she does have is a short film that she's directing called Lamp Life, and she's making that right now for Disney+.
Back.
This scene was really important to start to show Gabby's human side, that she has more than just being freaky in the first time you meet her, that she does have a want, and that is exactly the same as Woody's. And so she starts to see that there are parallels between her and Woody here through Forky.
Oh, I'll show you.
And if you notice, the design of the little girl in the book is exactly the same design as Harmony, little girl out there. So this book became her instruction manual on how she should be played with and how she should be out there in the world.
A little higher.
Give me a hug.
Harmony's mom is played by
Patricia Arquette.
who had a much bigger role early on, and we recorded with her some fantastic stuff. And then as the story developed, it got smaller and smaller, and I felt so awful. And we called her and said, Patricia, this role has just become a handful of lines. We totally get it if you don't want to do it. But she was so great. She said, no, I'd love to do it. I want to do it.
She was fantastic.
She was wonderful.
That shot of Forky putting his hand on Gabby may be one of my favorite shots in the film. So sweet.
All the plates up there in the top row where Gabby lives, they all represent a Pixar film. So they're designed from Brave, from Up. You'll have to rewind and pause. That might be Boo. I don't know.
I don't think it is.
Yeah, maybe not. And the carny there is named Axel, after our very own Axel Geddes, our editor, who is not a carny.
Lightyear.
Hey, up here, Astro Boy.
If you think you can just...
And there is Ducky, who's played by Keegan-Michael Key, and Bunny, played by Jordan Peele.
There is nobody funnier hanging in a carnival booth than Key
Yeah.
and Peele.
We recorded them together whenever we could, just because the energy they've got and their ability to play off of each other in their line readings. They gave you like a really different take on every line, every take that they gave you. They're just so funny.
Even this right here, Ducky talking about having tiny legs, that was improv in the moment. That was what was so amazing about their improvs, is that they were hilarious and different every time, but they were always on point and always having to do with the story, not just funny for funny's sake. I encourage you to pause the movie whenever Buzz gets kicked in the head, and you can see how far his head goes into his own body. Did that on purpose, just to get the feeling that he's getting hit hard. But there's one frame where it's practically horizontal. Part of the fun of Toy Story is always seeing and going into places that we can't go as people. Going inside of the carousel like this was an opportunity we had to take advantage of.
You got 6 eyes.
Thanks for the land.
Yeah, we had the chance to go out to a couple of carnivals that were local in the Bay Area to just really look at the detail, to take a lot of pictures and get the camera down on the ground and look under these rides. And, you know, they're all made to pack up in trailers and drive around. And, you know, there's a lot of detail you don't notice when you're in a carnival, but we kind of want to capture that, really make it feel believable.
Even those shields right there, they're beautiful on one side, but on the back, they're just not painted at all because it's not meant to be seen from that point of view. Having Bo's arm break off was something that we've always had in there. Sometimes it would be a story point. It's a great gag and just kind of shows that she's cool with being broken and that she's lived a life and she can fix herself. Where Woody has always been kind of don't break me.
Bo's animation in this scene is so great. I love just how it just shows how cool and adventurous she is, how much she just has mastered the art of getting around. Just her agility is pretty spectacular in the way she uses her crook.
And she's porcelain. We never forgot the fact that she's porcelain, which actually is a pretty strong substance, but we didn't want her to like jump and land like Thor, breaking the cement or anything, because she would just shatter into pieces. So we were very careful as to show how smart she was and how she would either absorb the role or just bounce on soft things or use her crook to get around.
The characters team just dug deep too in research on porcelain and what it looks like and how it's made. And they went and saw some demos and just did a lot of homework. And when you see her up close, it's pretty spectacular, the detail that they were able to capture in just what porcelain looks like.
The detail on this roof blows me away. Just the texture of that, and you could feel it. Like if you were to rub your hand against it, you'd know exactly what that feels like.
It's another fun place to explore that the toys need to go to get around where they can't be seen.
Wow, moving buddy.
She calls him Moving Buddy, little nod to first film.
We love that Ducky and Bunny's kind of moral compass has been defined by their observations from the back of a carnival booth. Their whole lives, all they've done is watch rigged games and people being cheated.
Yeah, probably a couple knife fights too.
That's everything they've ever learned.
Having them attached was something that was always intriguing just because there are a lot of toys out there that do that where we're holding hands or we're hugging each other. So I remember doing a drawing like, well, what if Ducky was always hugging Bunny, just kind of his legs dangling? But that was kind of restrictive when it came to animation. But having them attached to the hand gave them a lot more movement.
And just the fact that they've never been able to get away from each other. They're like the best of friends and the worst and the worst of enemies, and they go through the range of emotions. We're so proud to have the voice of Don Rickles as Mr. Potato Head in this film. He had signed on to be a part of Toy Story 4 for his passing, and we have such great recordings with him over the last 25 plus years that we were able to go back into earlier sessions and pull a lot of great stuff that had never been featured in any movies or commercials and bring his voice to the film.
There's probably every dad's frustration of going on a trip like this with the family. I remember some of mine with with my dad, and so just seeing him try and have to deal with the problems feels right to me.
That is a time when a lot of dads do use some words.
So this was a big scene, just going back into the antique store. We really wanted to feel like they're going back into the lion's den here. And so this is going to be super dangerous. The lighting here is going to be very ominous, and they're going to be up in the rafters, dust and dirt and webs everywhere, and just really treating it like they're going back into the enemy's lair.
The effects and the sim team did such a great job with the dust and the cobwebs back here in these behind the shelves areas.
We purposefully put a red light right there next to the sheep, so it just looked like they're demons.
be seen by
The idea behind this cabinet was that this building was like an old appliance store, store from like
that was
the
like
50s.
our backstory for what this used to be before it became an antique store.
That was like an old, like a makeup counter, or just we try and build history into the building so that it feels real. There's a scuba mask from Nemo next to a cookie box from Bug's Life.
We could actually do that through this whole scene, but we're
Probably
not
could.
going to do that.
We're not?
No, let's not do that.
Having Forky brush Gabby's hair backwards not only was a funny joke, but also I just didn't want to hear the sim people complain anymore. No, I'm joking. It was a way to get around not having to have the brush go through her hair, which is a technically extremely difficult to do. And so it's always those little things you think, oh, we can make a building explode. Sure, no problem. Or we can, light up an entire carnival. No. And I'm like, can we have them touch their hair? No.
But it's also so true to Forky. He doesn't understand how
Right.
anything works. So it's really what he would do.
That customer is holding some sort of item from Brave. I think it's something that's in the witch's castle. I don't know.
I love the athleticism in Bo's pose right there. She's just getting ready
Yeah.
to go after him.
Woody's pose is a nod to the old Mickey Mouse phones.
These scenes with characters sneaking around between the dressers and the shelves was fun, I know, for the layout department, but also really challenging. Finding a way to shoot all the action that takes place in the space that's like 6 inches wide. The layout artists are just so gifted at finding these creative ways to shoot in these impossible spaces and at the same time really maintaining the emotion.
You can't be serious. How are we supposed to do that?
Oh, what do we say about this scene? I always love it when we have scenes that you think are real, but they're not.
And they surprise you.
Yeah, it's just a way to wake up the audience.
It's also a great just window into the minds of Ducky and Bunny and the life lessons that they've learned along the way being hung up in the back of a carnival booth.
Something more subtle. Ooh, what about winner, winner, chicken dinner?
Yes.
They're such fun characters because they have no connection to our characters, and they're brand new. The fun of this movie to me was all these new characters that we can create and bring to life and just kind of mix up with the ones that we know and love already.
All right. Well,
and this is all a build up to this next part, which is these are the same shots you've seen. You know exactly what's going to happen, but then
Think
we
you do.
trick you, and it keeps going and it keeps going. But what you don't know while this is happening is it's actually a setup for the end of the movie. Winner, winner, chicken dinner is actually the same move that they do to get the girl to actually see Gabby Gabby. And Margaret, the shop owner, lives at address 237, if you look closely, which is another nod to The Shining.
That's for you, Lee.
oh, okay.
I love what the animators did with these dummies. They've got these unstructured arms and legs just because they're made to sit on a lap, and they had a lot of fun with that.
Smudge of grease on the glass. It's still there on
Porky's
all
face.
these shots.
Hair?
Have you ever played hide and seek?
No, but it sounds complicated.
Oh, it's easy.
This just shows the genius of Tony Hale. He's just so loving and funny and innocent at the same time, and he brought Forky to life on so many levels. Spider webs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of spider webs in here, and they look amazing. Did they have to read something for this film to make spider webs?
Yeah, they did write a tool that could spin those webs into place.
They had like virtual spiders or something.
I'll do the
I always wanted to do this. I love pinball. Mark loved
I
pinball.
love pinball.
These vintage machines are awesome. We actually brought one into the building, belonged to one of the artists, and opened it up. And stick our head inside, and this is what it looks like from inside. It's a dance party.
Long time no see.
Star Wars toys, right there. I played with those things growing up so much. I'm sure most of the world did because it's one of the biggest toy lines of all time.
Jonas Rivera, the other producer, would want me to point out the 8th bobblehead that's in the background. Thank you, Oakland 8.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Star Wars.
Oh,
right
sorry.
now. Being that we're in an antique store, this gave us a chance to do toys from all different eras, all different types. There's metal toys in there, there's tin toys, there's plastic toys, there's stuff that's aged, and it just has history to it. And Duke is kind of no exception to that. He's based on the 70s toys and action heroes.
Hi, Duke.
We just thought it would be fun to make him Canadian. There was no reason for it besides that. It's like we've never seen that before. We looked for Canadian actors, and the voice that popped the most was Keanu.
When we were talking about the character with him, we were kind of touring around the building here at Pixar and talking about his character. And there was a time where he actually jumped up on a table in the atrium kind of to illustrate the idea of striking poses as Duke Kaboom.
Yeah, that was all him. And it was just too funny that we were like, that has to be in the movie.
Good idea to wander into the aisle.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, does it?
Everybody knows the best route is behind the shelves.
That would have been a better route, wouldn't it?
Wow, this toy sounds like a complete idiot.
He does.
Oh. Wait, are you that toy?
We didn't fully understand the connection he has to motorcycles at the time that we had cast him, but we learned on our first time with him that he owns his own motorcycle company.
Yeah.
And the casting became that much more beautiful.
Kaboom, this is really important. My kid.
You have a kid?
Also, he is hilarious. He's so funny, and he doesn't even have to try to be. He's just naturally funny. It's not fair.
Rajon was so excited when he got me after Christmas. It was the happiest Boxing Day of my life.
Come on, Friday.
The announcer on the commercial for Duke Boom is none other than Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Made to do. But when Rajon realized I couldn't jump as far as the toy in the commercial, it's a commercial. It's not real.
I love this about Duke, that he's tormented by his commercial. That's such a true toy thing where the commercial sometimes would just look so much cooler than the actual toy. And he just can't live up to that. This was an important scene for Woody to see Bo just taking charge here and able to turn Duke from just crying like a baby to back into having the confidence to just be who he is and just own that.
With all the luck.
Kaboom.
Who's the greatest of the great white North?
If you watch this scene, it is about Bo and Duke, but Woody is constantly watching what's going on here. He's taking all this in. And in Act 3, when they need Duke to do the jump again, two of them work together doing the same exact thing to get him to jump. This was just an answer to we didn't know how they do it. And we knew it had to be fast and funny, and this was fast and funny.
That's
so
about as fast as it can be.
So you're welcome.
Yeah, this scene really shows off just the incredible work and the collaboration between art and sets in this particular set was kind of extraordinary.
And the lighting department, because we needed to build this beautiful moment up on top of all this antique stuff. All of this is all mapped out ahead of time. It's all designed knowing exactly where the characters are going to go, but we want it to still feel natural and kind of improvised on the toys parts. But this is all planned out ahead of time, and every single thing is just designed knowing exactly what they're going to do. What's on the film strip again? Is it the beginning of Up?
Yeah, it's the newsreel from the beginning of Up, if you look really closely.
That duck makes an appearance throughout the entire movie for no reason besides the fact that the animators just thought it was funny. They just kept adding it. So you can see a couple of people picking it up and moving it around, but it for no reason at all.
My life to happen.
Every single booth is themed after some sort of era. So this is the 50s booth, so a lot of jukebox and diner stuff. And then right next to them is the 70s booth on the other side. There's a lot of lava lamps and shag carpeting.
And now the
And this part here, we wanted to make sure that we didn't show off the lamps that are coming up. So everything's kind of framed so that you can't see them up until this moment.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, lighting and sets worked really closely on this scene, getting this to play just so that this was kind of a spectacular moment for these guys. I mean, it's just the ceiling of an antique store, but it had to be this beautiful, magical thing. It was just that right time of day when the light hits the chandeliers.
Magic hour. In the beginning of this movie, we were told no glass, no reflections.
Yeah, and then we just broke every rule.
We said, how dare you tell us what to do? And we've made a movie full of glass and reflections.
I am?
I think the hardest shot to render was part of that moment.
It was the one where they're looking back down at Bo and Woody as they're looking up into the chandeliers. That just, what was it, 1,000 hours of frame, something like that?
Yeah, at least.
So here's the greatest moment in Toy Story history right here. The return of Rajan.
Disapproving
Rajan.
Sorry, Rajan. No.
Yeah, Duke Kaboom's animation is spectacular. We actually animated all of Duke's scenes with animators that were Canadian, that were invested in that character.
This was the hardest sequence in the entire movie on every single level. From story to writing to editorial to animation to layout to all the way up to music. Even just trying to figure out how exactly to get all this action across. And it's complicated. There's a lot happening. There's a lot of characters. They have to go from one side of the aisle to the other. So even the lighting you can see in the cabinet here is warmer because the light's coming in and hitting it. And on the other side, it's a little cooler. Just so visually you can tell where we are in space.
Woody.
I just want to talk.
Yeah, with my voice box. Pull.
And that string that was kind of a technical nightmare. It's always those little things that you have no idea. You think, oh, that'd be easy. But no, that's the hardest thing in the world. It's like a cat? No problem. Wait, you want a string? No. Every single antique store we went into had a cat just kind of sitting there on the counter. And so it was just felt like a natural threat to these animals. We've never seen a cat in Toy Story.
Yeah, a lot of love went into this cat specifically. We've got a lot of cat-loving folks on the crew, both within animation and characters and art. We picked just the right people to model and to shade and build and design this cat.
The fun thing is, like, from a human's point of view, it's just a cat. But from a toy's point of view, it could be a tiger, it could be a lion. And in fact, there's one of the shots, anytime like this where it comes super up close, there is sound effects of like lion roars and grumbles in there. Just so it feels more intimidating from the toy point of view.
Some of the best dummy animation is also in this scene.
Best dummy animation ever. History of animation. These shots here, go through these frame by frame. There is multiple Easter eggs in every single shot here.
Love this sweet move by Bo with the drawer. Big shout out to the effects team for Giggle McDimples and the surrounding materials.
Those were the worst meetings on this movie. They'd say, come on and we want you to look at some effects of cat spit up. I'd be like, what? No, I don't want to. Just make it. I don't want to look at it.
How clear should it be? How viscous?
Yeah, they kept saying viscous. It's so gross.
Buddy!
This was an interesting scene. Everything needed to read like the back alley here, because if it was too dark, it would read like the store again, like they hadn't really left the store. And there's definitely pools of light to show that it's nighttime. There are some shots where you see the sky. We spent a lot of time on the animation of the scene to make sure the performances of the characters was just right. This scene is all about Woody just sticking to his guns and sticking to what he's thought is important for basically for 4 movies now, is that you're there for your kid no matter what. It's almost like he does his job too well, and he's willing to put everybody at risk because of that. And that's what Bo's calling him out on here. She's saying, like, look around, look at us, we're broken, we've been beat up, and we're not going to last, but you want us to go back in there and do it anyway.
That's not...
Having Bo really force him to admit that he has nothing else left to do in Bonnie's room is a huge moment for his character, not just in this movie, but actually all of the movies.
You get some insight into Bo's point of view, too, talking about how there are other kids out there, right? This has been her experience since she left Andy's room and Molly's room. You really get to see their point of views kind of face to face.
This is a scene where we spent kind of the same amount of detail that we did with Underneath the Car with Bo and Woody, and we made sure that we looked at these shots kind of back to back and as all as one chunk as opposed to just each individual shot, just so that the acting on their faces was so perfect for what was being said and what was not being said as well. There's a lot of subtext in that scene.
Those garbage bags in the background are another example of something that shouldn't be hard, but is.
Yeah, the characters couldn't interact with them. There's a couple shots where the sheep are touching them, but not really, or something. They tried to explain it to me. I'm like, I don't understand.
You're actually not now.
So Buzz here, this is continuing the joke of his inner voice, which does pay off at the very end, but this was a way to get him to go back to the RV so that Woody could be alone with Gabby. It didn't make sense to have Buzz just chase after Woody, and it would have just caused more story problems. This location in the back of the store where all the stuff is being stored used to be where Gabby's original lair was. We actually built it as going to be her place, and so we reused it here. This is a really important scene story-wise and a tough one because we needed to go from terrifying villain who wants to rip him open to all of a sudden we understand her and empathize with her and we want her to get what she wants. And we want Woody to get what he wants.
Just one thing.
What?
That being there for a child is the most...
We did the same thing like in the opening where we looked at all of it together constantly with the animators to make sure that every blink, every single footstep was putting the right information across. And then at the end of that, the music to sell it perfectly as well. So we start off with this big bang of her showing up. The music here is going into her theme when she was talking to Forky about wanting to be with Harmony.
Skinned his knee, proudly watching him grow up. And then you got...
That way we know that this is true what she's saying, and we didn't want the audience in any way to think she was trying to trick him.
The lighting also, it's like every department had to deal with that transition from kind of the dark and scary to the empathetic, including the lighting.
Exactly. She walks into the warm light where he is. The dummies stay back in the cool light back there, or in cool darkness.
Wonderful.
There's nothing false about any of this. It's all real emotion from both of them. And even here, when she is looking away from him, is kind of the first time we're doing that, as she's admitting what she wants. Even animation-wise, we kind of treated her a little bit more realistic. It wasn't as doll-like as when we first meet her, just so that we can empathize more and kind of feel more with her.
Love Christine in that scene.
Oh, she's great. She's right there with Tom Hanks. The two of them, it balances perfectly. It was a tough balance to show Woody's story and the story of all these other toys and Bo's story and all these new toys. There's just a lot of characters in this movie. And so it was really difficult to try and balance out the story because you knew it had to be Woody's story and everybody needed to support his story. But we also want to see all the other characters we know and love from all the other films. It's a tough one.
Often, as a parent, my kids will have battery-powered toys, and those batteries will fritz out, and the toy will go off. It'll be making sounds,
Honey, will you please shut that toy off?
Yeah, I got it.
and I'll have to take that toy and relocate it somewhere where it won't bother me.
When Andrew first pitched this idea of Buzz using his voice box as kind of his inner voice, it was so kind of crazy and yet kind of made sense. And I think it's because it's a toy feature. And Buzz is not always the brightest crayon in the box.
Your backpack's at the antique store.
This idea of him just yelling out inside the thing and Bonnie yelling it from that was just so funny in the pitch. It worked.
I know we see Woody talk directly to Sid in the first movie, but I don't know if it's been since then that we've had the toys so directly say something that influences the humans.
He does talk to Sid directly, and then also in the same movie earlier, he imitates Sid's mom's voice so to get Hannah to go downstairs. So it's been done before. We had a joke at the end of this movie at one point where Woody got left behind and the RV was gone and Bo was gone and he was accepting he was going to be a lost toy forever. And it kind of felt like, wow, that's a hard ending. And then all of a sudden the RV showed up and Bonnie jumps out and grabs him and it goes inside and Bonnie's dad said, how did you know he'd be here? And she went, Forky told me. So off screen, Forky talked to Bonnie. And then at the end of that version, Woody would go like, listen, I'm glad you did it, but don't talk to Bonnie. And you go, why?
What now?
The bottom side of the carousel is such a great environment to actually be treacherous. If you look under a carousel, that's what's actually going on there. You've got the poles from the horses going up and down, and it was kind of a perfect, tricky thing for toys to be able to get across.
Yeah, don't ever do that. This scene I love. The animation and the lighting and the music and all of it is just so beautiful. Christina's performance is just so heartwarming here. I just feel the complete opposite for Gabby that we did at the beginning of the movie, and that's the idea is that we see all she wants is the same thing that Woody wants, the same thing that all the toys want.
You're welcome.
I actually grow to love this relationship that Gabby and Forky have, and I love seeing them together, and it's kind of makes me sad seeing them splitting up after their time together. Forky just has such a love for Gabby right here, and it's probably Stockholm Syndrome, but it seems like a really beautiful relationship.
Terrifying.
The reason for the part where Woody and Gabby have their little standoff in the darkness and for this moment here where Gabby was happy is we're all building up to this right here, which is she's finally getting her chance and it's not going to work out for her at all. And Woody can't, in good conscience, walk away from that.
Huh?
And this is a moment that Gabby's been waiting for literally since the 1950s.
Oh, what have you got there?
This was an interesting balance in animation. We wanted to show like that she was looking at her and make it feel like there was a connection between the two, but allow that to happen where she just drops her. We couldn't let the needle go one way or the other so that you can read both ways happening.
What happened? Gabby was supposed to be her toy.
And we allow Forky to kind of be the innocent that just voices what we're all thinking, which is like, you know, wasn't she supposed to be your kid? What about her? And so these are all the things that Woody's thinking, but we're able to vocalize it with Porky.
Now, please leave him in there so he doesn't get lost again.
It was such a tightrope to walk, to have people be as scared of Gabby as they were in the beginning, but have them really have a heartfelt response to her being dropped by Harmony.
Yeah, it's a tough turn. I think we got close. I learned from Andrew a lot of things on this movie, but one thing is like a joke can help tell the story as well. That's where it's essential. So just writing, we need to go to the carousel. That's the thing. That's the goal for Act 3. And so to underline it with Forky going like, I don't know what that is. And then all of a sudden knowing what it is, it makes it more memorable so that for the Act 3, we all remember what the kind of the goal is. This scene breaks my heart. I just love it so much. I wanted Gabby to be turned away from the camera when you first see her, just like in The Rescuers when the little girl's sitting on the bed and she isn't adopted and the cat comes and sits next to her. Similar staging.
Some of my favorite scenes in this movie are where we really slow it down and we have these quiet moments between characters, and you've got these subtle performances and just some of the great acting by our animation team, and you just really soak it in and really feel these moments. There's a lot of action in this film as well, but again, it's some of these quiet moments really that kind of stand out to me.
And this was an idea we always had, that the carnival would be right outside the antique store. Gabby has been stuck in here. Right outside that window are all the kids in the world. You can hear them laughing and playing and trying to win toys, and it's not going to be possible inside the store. We played around with a lot of different relationships between Bo and Gabby. Being that they were in the same antique store, we had thoughts like maybe they were friends, maybe they were enemies this whole time, maybe Gabby didn't want Bo to leave and that's how she got broken. We had all these different types of backstories, but at the end of the day, we realized it doesn't really matter. All we need to know is that she doesn't want to go back in there, and then we get to this point where she does want to help her.
You might think that's a baby buggy, but what I've learned on this show, if I've learned anything, that is indeed a pram.
Here we pay off our skunkmobile just to get the toys out there. I think from day one, once we created Duke, we always had the idea of doing a big jump. At one point, we had him jump off the store and into the Target. And then I remember Stephanie Folsom pitched the idea of having him jump off the Ferris wheel. And I was like, oh, that's the answer. You can't get any bigger than that.
Stephanie Folsom was one of the writers on this film.
We've seen the toys always drive cars around from the previous films, but this felt like a fun way to do it in a different way.
This Ferris wheel really showcases the work of the sets department in such a spectacular way. Thomas Jordan and Steve Karski led this team, and just the detail in this Ferris wheel blows my mind.
You can see all the different welding pieces, and it's just insane, the amount of detail.
Never repeat a
The other thing that's crazy is the light pattern. They showed me about, I feel like 50 different light patterns of the ways that this Ferris wheel could light up and move and everything. So we specifically wanted those lights along the side to feel like runway lights for Duke, and they're going the opposite direction of Duke just to make him feel faster. Like every single thing is thought out here.
The fireworks was kind of a late breaking idea to have fireworks behind him.
Yeah, it makes no sense at all. You never see fireworks for the rest of the movie. It's just behind Duke. This shot right here where he hits was actually a joke that was done by our editor, Axel. We were having trouble seeing Duke hit that in real time, and he said, here, I'll make it work. And he slowed it down about 3 times the speed, and it just made us laugh. And we're like, we could see it now. It actually works.
Yeah.
So we had the music cut out. We added the sparks and the light breaking. And I think even the idea of having him hit was a joke that was done by the animator during one of the reviews. He just did it as a side joke. And I said, that's too funny. We got to put that in there.
It's Duke's biggest moment.
I love Bonnie being asleep for all of this. This is so real. My kids are always like this. This was another one in animation that I just knew that the expressions were going to have to carry a lot of this. There's not a ton of dialogue. In fact, we stripped a ton of dialogue out of this because as we were watching it, we realized we didn't need it. The acting could just carry it. Randy did an amazing thing here, which is the music here is the same music from the classroom scene where Woody is helping Bonnie in the classroom. And so this is Gabby helping this little girl. When I heard it on the stage, it was genius. I just realized he connected those two scenes in a way that I hadn't even really thought myself.
Poor sweet little girl. And being a lost kid in an environment like this, there's a truth to that, right? Carnivals are so chaotic. It's really easy for that to happen. And
What if she doesn't like me?
Gabby.
I don't know if I can do this.
So this whole time, whether it's the Duke jump or getting Gabby with this kid, it's always about Woody and Bo working together, being on equal standing, just working together to get Gabby to a kid.
Okay.
And that's so that when we get to the goodbye scene, we wanted to make it feel wrong that they're splitting up, so that you want them to stay together.
Not too far.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. That move of rolling the softball is an actual thing that carnival workers do to get people to play their games. If it's a game where you're throwing the ball to knock down bottles, they'll roll the softball out in the middle of the midway and then yell at you to come or ask you politely to pick up the softball and bring it back to them. And when you do that, you're already standing in front of the game holding the ball, and then they offer you a free throw and they sucker you in that way. So we're always using things from real life in the carnival for Ducky and Bunny to have experienced. Guy on the left-hand side of that frame was doing sign language. I think he's saying something about Pixar. I don't remember exactly what it was.
really see it register on their faces, what they were kind of able to accomplish and the kind of the hope in that.
I love the hook on Bunny's head. Jeff Pigeon drew that as a gag sketch, and I was like, yes, that has to happen.
For those of you who don't know him, Jeff Pigeon is one of the original story artists at Pixar, and he's one of the few members of the Toy Story 4 crew that has worked on all 4 of the films. He is an avid toy collector, and when you bring some helium into the recording studio, he is also the voice of the aliens, and always has been.
This was important just to show that the toys have no control over their lives, but we needed to give them some time to have this goodbye, and Forky was the key to that. He's keeping them all busy while it gives the toys the chance to have this emotional ending. So kind of starting here, this was where we were like, we need to look at all of this together as one piece, same as we did with the prologue, same as with Woody and Gabby having their confrontation. It all needed to work together smoothly, and we couldn't just final one shot at a time. It had to be one piece. These shots here, there were some emotional moments in animation as we were working on these, sitting in rooms for hours, looking at these shots over and over again and just talking about where the blinks are, how hard they squeeze, just really breaking it down. We came out of one of these meetings and we just all looked at each other and we were just exhausted emotionally and kind of mentally. It was a lot of work just to kind of stay in this mindset for hours at a time.
So much subtlety in the acting in these scenes that the animators did. It's incredible.
And subtlety, even like the footsteps on the top of the awning here. We worked to see how much give there would be in the footsteps so it didn't pull away from the emotion of the scene, but still feel like an awning. All these crazy details. And this is really important. I think that Woody and Buzz's relationship, this is the only way he would stay with Bo, is having Buzz give permission for him to stay. He's so loyal to his kid. We've seen that over so many films. He's only going to do it when he knows that Bonnie is going to be okay and his friends are going to be okay and that it is the right thing for him. He finally gets to do something for himself. And Randy's score here is beautiful.
Working with Randy Newman all these years, being part of it from the beginning, he really just brought so much to this score. And I think that piece that he did at the end for that goodbye is one of the most emotional in the film.
The lighting back there was really important. We wanted to make it feel like the light from her lamp at the beginning on the ground, where it's the same kind of style, being kind of out of focus and just kind of implied lighting back there. It's just to raise the romantic feel between the two of them. Carnivals at night are stunning. They can be stunning. During the daytime, they're horrible places.
Working on this scene was really emotional for all the crew, really, every part that they played. As we'd watch this played back, watching these characters say goodbye to each other, these characters that have been in our lives for decades, and we've been working with these. They're almost like family. They're kind of in the fabric of Pixar going back to the beginning.
Absolutely.
So it really hit us hard that this was going to be a big final moment for them.
I think this is the only way you can go another step past Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3 was the end of Woody's time with Andy. Woody's always said, I got to be there for your kid. And this is how he goes past that. Now he'll be there for all kids. He and Bo and the new gang are going out there and they're doing something bigger than just being there for one. We didn't have that ending right out the gate. That was something that evolved over time.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. We didn't have it. It didn't feel like the movie was, it just felt like another adventure. It didn't feel like there was any emotional depth to it. The end of this movie had to end on these two lines.
To infinity and beyond.
Watching those two deliver those lines, Tom had to turn away from us as he did it, and Tim, I could tell, was seconds away from cracking. Those guys have been playing these characters for over 25 years, and to have them perform this last scene and watch them do it was a real treat. It was a huge honor to be working on this film. I loved Toy Story. I saw the first two before I started working here at Pixar. And so to be asked to direct this movie was such a huge honor and terrifying because I didn't want to mess it up. And Mark, you've been here since the second one.
Yeah, I worked on Toy Story 2 as a coordinator for modeling and shading. And so, yeah, these characters have been part of my life for such a long time. I jumped at the chance to be a part of this film and to work on it. It was a great challenge, but also just the greatest of honors to be working on a film with Buzz and Woody, these characters who have been infused in every character in every film we've made since. They go back to the very start. They have such a special place in our heart. It's just been a real honor to be a part of this film.
How long were you on this movie?
Pushing 5 years.
Did we start around the same time?
I think you started a little bit before me.
Is there anything you want to say?
You know what, Josh? It was an absolute pleasure working with you. No, I've had such a great time. I've had the pleasure to work with Josh ever since Cars 1. So we go back more than 15 years also working together on movies like Up and Inside Out.
You called me and offered me the job on Cars.
I'm glad you said yes.
Thank you for calling.
Sure thing.
Also, you owe me $20.
Okay, I'll get that to you in just a minute. The epilogue we felt was important to include because we, as an audience, wanted to know what Woody and Bo's life would look like as they're out there helping toys get with kids. And so we wanted to kind of show the promise in that. We also had a lot of fun checking back in with Bonnie's room and seeing what Forky and the gang had been up to. So we had the chance to do both of those things with this epilogue.
You got lush, son!
And here's the real reason we made the movie right here, for this shot. We just wanted to see this. I love that the effects department came to me and said, hey, could we make it bigger? Can we add more stuff blowing up?
What do you think of Ducky breathing fire?
Yeah. And I said, I don't know. Will that be entertaining? Maybe we'll try something.
They went all the way.
I love it so much.
Great.
I don't like that guy. He owes me money.
We wanted to make sure we kind of checked back in also with the toys back in Bonnie's room to see what their life was like.
Come on.
This was just a fun callback to show that life is continuing, but also just to show that Forky has had an arc in this whole movie as well. He explains what it means to be a toy and how important it is, but he's also completely love-struck here. I love this shot. This is so much fun, just seeing them try to walk to each other. We were also very specific as to where Forky's eyes were focused. So right here, they're focused, but most of the movie, they're just kind of wobbling around in there. Whenever he had a thought or whenever he was in love like this, it was like he can't keep his eyes off her. And so having it just kind of drop here at the end reminds you of what he is.
I think Forky and Karen Beverly have a bright future together.
How so? Explain that.
I can't.
I was a lonesome cowboy. Lonesome as
I'll make sure to hang around and watch the credits. There's a lot of really talented people that worked on this film that deserve your time.
Ridiculously talented. And we had people that were working on this film that worked on the first Toy Story.
We had a combination of experienced folks that had worked on every Toy Story movie, and then we also had people that would show us pictures of themselves at age 3 dressed up like Buzz Lightyear that were working on the film. The old and the new coming together.
But the excitement was exactly the same from both. It was like, I can't believe I get to work on number 4. I worked on the first one. And also, I can't believe I get to work on number 4 because I wasn't born when the first one came out.
Which made a lot of us feel sad.
Because of the way time works.
Yes.
it's wonderful. I was a lonesome cowboy.
This song, Lonesome Cowboy, actually was originally written for the opening of our film. We were going to put it over Andy playing with Woody and then they transitioned to Bonnie, but we did that and it just did not work exactly right. And then we put You've Got a Friend in Me over it and it fit perfectly. And we were thinking, what were we thinking? Because of course you want to call back to that original time, you use You've Got a Friend in Me. So it actually worked perfectly here because he was a lonesome cowboy, but not anymore. What the words say.
The song was written by Randy Newman and performed by Chris Stapleton. Amazing.
While we were working on this movie, the amount of people in the studio that kept asking, is Combat Carl going to get a high five? You have to let him get a high five. And I would say, no, you don't, because that's how life works. Not everybody gets a high five. Stop putting your good wishes on me.
But eventually they wore you down.
They wore me down because it first started with the idea of just changing the logo at the end, like doing something with Duke. And I think the first idea was, well, can we have him go over the castle kind of like Tinkerbell does, like he's jumping the castle.
Became technically complicated.
Yeah, you couldn't do it for some reason. And we were like, well, we can mess up our own logo. Let's do that. The idea was to have him come in and do exactly what the lamp does, but doing it with his awesome poses and Keanu going, hoo, ha, ha. And then we said, well, what if at the very end we had him come in and get his high five? Because we had to end the thing with the lamp turning off is how we always ended at the end of these movies. And so how can we signal the cut to black? And the high five was the way to do that. And so we actually kept it a secret from the whole studio, actually, that we were doing this.
They haven't seen it yet. We look forward to them reacting to that. I think they'll see that at the rap party.
That's right. We're recording this even before the movies come out.
Yes. We recorded the score there at the Fox Newman scoring stage, which is named after Newman, who are family of Randy Newman. He has a great and rich history of music in his family going all the way back.
That Newman is Alfred Newman, and he actually did the score for a lot of Charlie Chaplin movies. And Randy told us these crazy stories about how on the stage we were on, Randy said, yeah, I used to run around this stage when I was like 8 years old and watch my, family record movie scores. It's
incredible.
Fascinating hearing him reminisce about it. Randy Newman is one of the funniest people I've ever met.
He's hilarious.
He is hilarious. He would always say things as he was working with the orchestra, like he'd say, second violins, can you play and be there? Let's hear how that sounds. And he'd play it. And he goes, all right, there, I saved the picture. Or he'd say, you guys don't play as loud. Yeah, don't try as hard. It's Toy Story 4.
Weren't you like keeping a running list of the great things he would say just because you wanted to keep track of them all?
I do. I wrote them all down. I have pages of them.
We wanted to make sure that we paid special tribute to Don Rickles. He has just meant so much to the Toy Story films from the beginning. We couldn't not do that.
And the film's dedicated to Adam Burke, our friend, and one of the most talented animators and just one of the greatest guys ever in the world. Always with a smile. You bump into him and been here for over 15 years. It's one of a kind. We are almost to the end of the commentary here, so make sure that you take your Blu-ray out and turn it over and listen to Side B.
I don't think that's how this works.
I'm pretty sure I know how this works, Mark. So when you hear the chime, turn the page. Remember those things?
Yes, I do. I miss those things.
Me too.
Come on, Combat
Boom.
Carl.
Where are you? Where is he?
Come on, where is he?
There it is.
It's your chance.
And thank you!